Refuge field, visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the sky in front of you, and how you visualize them. They're like your very affectionate parents, and imagine that you come home demoralized, and your parents are waiting there with full love, affection, attention, and so forth. This is exactly how Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us with tremendous love, care, and attention. Both to the field, visualize your two parents on the two sides, and all your family members, including your children, and everyone here in India, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. And here you are the mother, and all others are like children. And imagine they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth. And the purpose of this practice is to awaken the Buddha nature in yourself, awaken the seed of perfection within yourself, which is temporarily obscured by the mental defilements. Just like the gold, when mixed with the soil, the gold becomes hidden, and it's only through removing the soil that the gold inside will start to glow. Likewise, it is only through removing the mental stains that the seed of perfection within ourselves, seed of perfection, the diamond light, the gold light, the Buddha nature within us will become manifest, and then at that point you are known as the enlightened one, full awakened one. At that point you are able to benefit all sentient beings equally. Okay, with that in mind, what is important is we need to know what constitutes the mental defilements and how to get rid of them, what kind of remedies to apply to get rid of these. And the remedies we come to know that by knowing the nature of the mental defilements, knowing that it is the ignorance which is at the core, ignorance or the subtle stains of the ignorance responsible to give rise to all the mental defilements. So the remedy that we can possibly employ is the wisdom which counteracts, which is directly in opposition with the ignorance. So this wisdom to know the reality as it is. So the wisdom plays a very important role, and this wisdom can best be activated only if we are being very objective in a pursuit of the journey. So with that in mind, imagine that you are leading this, and all sentient beings are joining you in this journey, and they are so happy to join you, and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they're all watching us. With that in mind, let's turn to page 3. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. In dependent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads here and seeking pacification and complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths, courses, or self-helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of nations help subdue and expand the varieties of heaven. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teachers to guard and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha I make prostrations. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum desham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum desham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum desham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye svaha. All phenomena arise in causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and not composite. Such is the nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I return to the words. Pure utterance, thought and expression is the professional wisdom, which is unborn, unceased and has the nature of space. Is the particular apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times of obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the souls of all. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expansive billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realization is not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness the beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. If attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, full awakened being, perfect knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the complete and full awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, a prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When O Supreme amongst humans, you are born in this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then are prostrate, with pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, win of the best, Lord, to you are prostrate. With the supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold to you are prostrate. Touch feel like you, the three worlds are not. Incompatible wise one to you are prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata are prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path that pacifies are prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha are prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual apparition, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, seeing efficient things as such. Through this merits way, sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the four faults, and be delivered from samsara's oceans, perturbed by the ways of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, Heart Sutra Mantra, page 20, page 29, page 31. As a result, this mantra, this is extremely the precious mantra. Reflect as thus the Buddha Shakyamuni, Avalokiteshvara, and Arhat Shariputra, they are residing in 12 of us, and the Buddha Shakyamuni exhorts us thus: don't remain in the fears of samsara, come to us ultimate happiness. And you hearing this melodious voice of Buddha Shakyamuni, we inspire you to become parents, we inspire each and every sentient being, and everyone is so happy. Hearing what you're saying, they're so inspired by you, and they're so happy to join you in this journey of cleansing the mind to achieve the state of full enlightenment. Deyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha Dhyata 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 Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha. Okay, let us read page 32, 8 verses of my training. Primarily to subdue our ego, subdue our anger, by skillfully embracing others, by skillfully crushing our self-centered attitude. Page 32. With the determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as a low within my soul, and from the very best of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior.
In all my deeds, I broke into my mind, and as soon as I took it,
emotional afflictions arise. As they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with the big splendor and so may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistakes me extremely hurtful ways, my regards to Mr. Mills, precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly,
may I quietly take upon myself
all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all these remain undefiled by the stains of the eight mundane concerns, and may I recognize in all things dissolutions, devoted clinging, be released from bondage. From our two collections, vast space that I've amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds, wisdom, eyes blinded by ignorance. Okay. What we recited, the Heart mantra, which read, Diyatham Gade Gade Para Gade Para Samgade Bodhi Swaha. So finally the point is that, say, whether from the point of view of the spiritual practice or from the point of view of your personal life, from the, say, so oftentimes people split and divide the two things, spiritual practice and my personal life. They divide the two things. And whereas the wise people, and particularly in the context of the teachings of Buddha, the wise people, for them, the spiritual practice and what their way of life, this should be seen as one. Many great teachers, what they say is that for me, anything that I see, they are seen as the deities. Anything that I hear them as dharma teachings. In other words, anything that I encounter with, I see them as spiritual practice. So this is what they say. Jusmilarepa, the great saint Jusmilarepa, he said that for me, anything that I encounter with, I see them as dharma. Okay, so this is how we should make it happen. Now, for the time being, since time immemorial till now, we have been living these two things. We've been directed to follow the path, seeing these two things as totally distinct, the spiritual path and your way of life. And then we are so attached to the way of life and just giving aside the spiritual practice. Whereas in reality, what is meant by spiritual practice, what is meant by way of life, is that, say, the real meaning of life, in a very simple term, what we can say is that anybody, say, as one grows older, the person becomes happier. Say, physically, you may become, say, the earlier when your body is very flexible. And then when you reach age 30, particularly if you don't do any exercise, then you see that your body becomes more stiff. And those people who do exercise, then age 30, 40, around 40, you can then will see the difference. So around age 15, 20, the body is extremely agile, extremely flexible, agile, and despite your efforts, despite your exercises, we see that the body is not as agile as what it was when you were age 15, 20. You can see difference. And then, so those people who actually do not do any exercise, of course, by the time they reach age 40, they see that the body is very rigid and very stiff. Okay, and then hitting age 50, the agility disappears. Whether you do exercise, not do exercise, agility disappears. And of course, there's a stark contrast. There's a big difference between those who do the exercise, those who don't do exercise. But the body flexibility and the agility slowly disappears. Okay, what I'm saying is that in terms of the physical body, you may be aging. You will age. You'll age, but mentally, if you see yourself thriving as your body ages, your mind thrives. This is an indication that you are blending. You're blending the spirituality and your way of life. So way of life what? To sustain the body. In whatever is successful, in whatever way you are successful, somebody who can be so successful with business and so forth, and eventually become a billionaire, age like say, hitting 50, 60, 70, your billions of dollars cannot buy the youth. Cannot buy the youth. Okay, so we see that somebody who's purely into materialism, when they hit age 40, 50, 60, 70, then even the cosmetics and nothing will work, right? Nothing will work, and then the only thing left is that money cannot do anything to you. You will just envy those who are very young, age 15, 16, 20, 25. You tend to envy those people. Okay, so which means that you have been splitting the spiritual life and the way of living your life. You split the two things. Whereas somebody who blends the two things, somebody who blends these two things, spiritual life and your way of life together, then as they become older, when you reach 40, it doesn't matter whether you're educated or not educated, it doesn't matter. As you become older, you become happier, 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 happier. And this is not only confined to Buddhists, even to the non-Buddhists. Even to non-Buddhists, particularly for somebody who is a Buddhist, because of seeing the rationality there. Rational thinking with the wisdom of emptiness. And wisdom of emptiness is not the case that somebody who's very bright at the age like say 20, 21, 22, 30, you get it and there's a peak. No. You keep meditating on this, keep studying more, keep meditating on this, you will see that the peak, there's ever rising peak. There's ever rising ascending peak there. It becomes subtler, subtler, subtler. As experience of emptiness becomes subtler, subtler, and as experience of bodhicitta becomes more and more vast, more and more expansive, you become happier and happier and happier person. And say when you reach age like 45, 50, 60, 70, bodily you are very fragile. But then mentally you're a very happy person. And for such person, if somebody says that, okay, which age do you prefer? When you were age 20 or now? For sure these people said, now I'm much happier. So if that happens, this is indication, this is a measure, this is the indication of you having going to the spiritual path, seeing the spirituality and your way of life as of the same. Okay, with that in mind, now, what exactly is this spiritual path correctly following which will make you feel happier, happier, happier? That is Gade Gade path. The path Tiyatha Om Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgade Bodhi Swaha. So this journey, go beyond, go utterly beyond and establish your ultimate happiness or the ultimate enlightenment. So this is the journey. So for this journey, what we need to keep in mind is that this journey is not a simple journey. It's a very sophisticated journey, and yet the moment you see the sophistication, you will see a tremendous light of joy there. That is the kind of journey that you're following. And this journey marks two things. Journey means you should know where you're going. So you should have a very clear picture of where you're going, the destination. So this journey, where you're going, the destination, that must be seen by the wisdom. Without the wisdom, you cannot see where you're going. So you just follow, like, say for example, say a piece of wood you throw into the river Ganga up there in Gangotri. You throw a piece of wood. Piece of wood has no thought that I'm going to Bay of Bengal. Automatically it will reach Bay of Bengal. So it does not have the vision. It does not have vision. But for us, we need to have the vision. We need to have the direction. And the direction will be given to us only by the wisdom. So the wisdom is required. Wisdom is inalienably required, or say unwittingly required to follow this journey. Number one. And this journey, because this journey is not like from Gangotri, then the Ganga taking you to Bay of Bengal. It is like from the Bay of Bengal going to Gangotri. Gangotri down is just a pull of the gravity that you're following. But from Bay of Bengal going to Gangotri, you have to work against the gravity. So the gravity of samsara, takes us in one way. That is like how the water flows from Gangotri to Bay of Bengal. Now the samsara to nirvana, it is like from Bay of Bengal going to Gangotri. So for that matter, you need just imagine the same water from Bay of Bengal. If you are to move this water body from in line of the river Ganga towards Gangotri, imagine how much energy is required. The gravity which is required, which pulls you down, the same amount of the energy of the gravity is required. That equals the gravity which you put down is required to pull that up. So what is that energy? That energy should be the same energy, but opposite in direction. Energy required to pull you down towards the Bay of Bengal, energy to pull you up towards Gangotri. It's the same energy, same amount of energy, but opposite in direction. Likewise, it is the same energy which required for us to be trapped in samsara. The same energy, but in the opposite direction. Same energy, instead of pulling you towards samsara, should pull you towards nirvana. So that energy is required. What is that energy? That energy is the energy of the renunciation and the energy of the bodhicitta. These two are required. So these two things are required in order to give this wisdom, to push this wisdom towards taking you to the enlightenment, towards your ultimate happiness, away from samsara. Okay, so this is the point. Now, the point from this, what we come to know is, technically speaking, what we come to know is that to follow this path, to make ourselves beginning with the very simple statement, that finally say, what is spiritual path, right? So everybody will agree with me. Whether somebody is interested in spirituality or not interested in spirituality, everybody will agree with me. Somebody who's totally sucked up drained into indulgence, everybody will agree with me that finally what we want is that as I grow older, I should become happier, happier and happier. This is what everybody will agree with me, that as I grow older, I wish that I become happier, happier, happier. Not that when I'm just at the peak of my age, like age 20, say 19, 20, 21, peak meaning the peak of the youth. So we have a superficial, say, the ego of the youth. of the youth, and at that very age, so much of problems are there, competitions are there, jealousy, all these things are there, right? And then there are many others who are competent, and others who are competent, they themselves will see the others very competent. It's just a terrible competition there, and you don't really get to where you target, you are keen to be, and then others, olders, they envy you, right? Is this the life? Is this the life? When are you happy? So whereas anybody who's just going to indulgence, then into indulgence, then end up in fighting, jealousy, all these things, corruption, terrorism, and all these things happening. So the same person, say from the nightclub or from the pubs, you just pick up somebody and you tell the person that, what do you prefer? There are so many old people nowadays, and even those people enjoy the time, what we call enjoy the time as you are doing now, right? And yet, now they're already old, and young people, they just kick them out. They don't include them in the group, right? They're being so nostalgic of the youth, right? Okay, do you want to become someone like them? Or you want to become somebody, okay, what are you now? Then at the moment you may be age 20 or 25. And then slowly 30, 40, 50, 60. As you become older, you become happier, happier, happier. Instead of becoming nostalgic over the youth, you feel happier what you are now rather than when you were young. Okay, which of the two are the kinds you want to be? To be like? So naturally the answer is, of course, the second one. This is a natural answer which will come from everyone, whether believer or not believer, whether falling this religion or that religion, whether falling just into indulgence or whatever. So the point is that this is what's required. And how to make this happen? That I grow older and older and older, and then say many people at the age of life, the same end of 30, or say hitting 40, and then in 40s, and white hair start to grow, and body starts to become more stiff, and then the wrinkles come into being, and then the complexion disappears, and then what? Black marks come on the body, and start to come, slowly start to come. Okay, so there, then natural tendency is that we tend to, that is the mark. At that point, then what is your state of mind? And the youth, somebody who is just at the moment 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, will not remain 20 forever. Everybody who is in the old age now, they have been into this age, like 16, 17, 19, 20. They also been, and then just they've been in that state, now they're old. The younger ones today, one day they also become, and lucky if they get the chance to become old. Otherwise they'll disappear, right? Too immaturely. Okay, so the point is that everybody will agree with me that I wish to have a life whereby as my body grows older, I become happier and happier person. Okay, this is the aspiration of everybody. But people cannot articulate this. If you're able to articulate this on their behalf, they will surely agree with you. Okay, now the question is, if this is what everybody aspires, how can I achieve that? For that matter, as I said earlier, for that, what makes you happier is that there's something there where you can look up to. Look for, say, gate gate, para samgate, buri soha. So there, you see something, a goal. As time lapses, you're closer to this goal. You become happier, which means that further away from that in terms of time, which means physically you are younger. As you become older, in time-wise you are closer towards that goal. And you become happier because you are closer, near the goal. So that is the basic thing. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisa. This point. So now for that matter, to make this happen, gate, gate, we must have to have the vision to see where you're going, what that goal is. What that goal is. For that matter, the wisdom is required. Now the wisdom, that wisdom, we see that it has two sides. This is so important. It has two sides. The wisdom has two sides. One is the wisdom itself. It's a mental state. It's a subject. And wisdom means it sees the reality. It should see the reality as it is. So one, the subject side, element of the subject, and the other, the element of the object. Object and the subject. Now for that matter, we need to know what the object is. We also need to know what the subject is. And for the object, say in the history of humanity, say in the East, in the eastern side of the world, say in India, so many philosophical traditions evolved. So many philosophical traditions evolved in order to explore what is that reality, what is that object in the East. And then in the West, Western philosophers starting from, say, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and then many thinkers, they also came there in the Western hemisphere of the planet Earth, exploring what constitutes the reality, ultimate reality. And then, say, with the Newton, then physics from the Western philosophy, then slowly more exploration became more empirical exploration happening, and because of which then the physics came into being, physics, chemistry, and then biology, all meant to explore what the reality is. What's the reality? Reality from the very gross to the subtle. Say, what this body, how this body is moving. How this body is moving. For example, say we have a cut and the blood comes out. And the blood clots. Inside the body, if the blood clots, it's terrible. You will die. But if the body continues, if the blood from the cut, if it flows continuously, again it's life-threatening. So blood clots. What is the mechanism? What makes the blood clot? What is that thing, mechanism inside the body? Right? And then say how the thinking processes, what's going in the body, the neurons. And what is that thing? The body should get the food continuously. And who's giving this food? Brought by the blood. But who's sending the blood at the right time with the food and so forth? The heart. The heart pumps the blood. So exploring these things becomes the biology. Exploring the object, biology. And then going deeper into biology, say within the blood, what's really happening? What's going there, what's coming back? Going back, going towards the various places from the arteries, coming back through the veins. So what is happening? Going there, it carries the food, oxygen. Coming back, it brings the carbon dioxide and the waste. It's an amazing process. So what is that carbon dioxide? In what way it works? Oxygen, how it combines with the body, how does it, and the food, how then it goes into cellular level. And then on the molecular level. So that is the chemistry. And then going beyond, what is really these compounds? Going beyond, then the physics, elemental particles come into being. Okay, so this is how the modern physics, modern chemistry, modern biology, they all come into being. So this is exploring the what? Object or subject? Object. So that is known as ontological reality. The study of the ontological reality. What constitutes the reality? So with this, the study of philosophy,
study of science come into being to explore what the reality is, what the ontological reality is. For that matter, the study of the philosophy and physics, chemistry, but more precisely, the ontological reality, study of physics, or from the point of view of the modern science, is the study of physics and the philosophy. They all come into being to explore what the ontological reality is. In other words, exploring the objective reality. And then on the subject, because this wisdom is constituted of two parts. Not only the object, but there's a mind which analyzes this mind. Within this mind, we see that it has so many kinds, so many varieties there, ranging from very gross to the subtle. And as the mind becomes subtler, the mind becomes more effective. As the mind becomes subtler, the mind becomes more effective. So the more you use this, the very effective, most effective mind to see the subtlest of the ontological reality. So that has a capacity to be the wisdom which will take you from gate, parasamudhi, bodhi, soha. Okay, so for now to know what this mind is, in order to acquire this subtlest mind, which is so effective in its performance, so this mind, for that matter, we have to know the psychology. And then, say, today, with the advent of the study of psychology, then going into more into the material exploration and the neuroscience came into being. So to study how this subject is today, the two most important streams, they are the neuroscience and psychology, and then two of them, the mixture of the two is cognitive science. So cognitive science also comes into being. So they are to study the subject. Okay, so this being very important, the Buddha said that although one has a brilliant eyesight, but without the light, you will not know the reality. So this the Buddha said in Dhammapada. Although you have the brilliant eyesight, but if you don't know, if you don't have the light, you cannot see the reality around you. Likewise, even though you have a brilliant intelligence, but without the light of the knowledge, you will not see the reality. So in Buddhism, there's a tremendous emphasis to know what the reality constitutes of, not by following the blind faith. The moment you follow the blind faith, there's no way by which you can see the reality. Okay, now it is very interesting that, so this is the basic background that you need to have to study, to know about the Buddha's teachings. Now, the Tibetan masters, the Tibetan great saint scholars, the masters meaning who are extremely learned, plus practitioners. How they design the teaching is on the basis of what is known as the basis, the path, and the results. This is a very interesting way of, say, giving teachings, or formulating their teachings, the outline of their teachings, the basis, the path, and the result. Okay, without knowing what the basis is, for example, let's say if you want to go to Bodh Gaya, and if you want to go to Bodh Gaya, and say then keep in mind that from here and okay, you know that today, but then later on I don't know. At the moment, say there are two common ways. One is in terms of the flight. If you take a flight, you can take a flight from Delhi to Patna. Then from Patna you take let's say a car or any vehicle, car or bus, whatever. Another way is from Delhi you take a flight direct to Gaya. From there is about like 15 minutes to Bodh Gaya. Okay. This is whatever. If you, and then by train, you can go direct to Gaya, or you can go to Patna. If you don't know, the reality, then the path can be very difficult. The path, say for example, if you, while you have the possibility, say to take a train to both Gaya directly, so you take a flight, the train to Patna. From Patna you take a bus or by car. Today, 2018, the road is extremely bumpy with so many potholes on the road. Very difficult, very difficult. From Patna, it's about 5 to 6 hours. The road is acutely bad. You getting it? So you think you must have, say from the Bangalore road, say from Bangalore airport. Okay, what are the roads are very good? Okay, you might have been to some place where the road like 2 hours, 3 hours road is so good, and you think that okay, from Patna I'd rather go to Patna. From there, then I will have the fun, by road travel, and it's actually not a fun. You just did not know the reality of that place. You thought that whatever you've seen somewhere else, you impose that. And here, if you don't know the reality, then the path is going to be very difficult. You're getting it? Okay, one. So you have to know the reality. If you know the reality, then the path can be very smooth. What does it mean by path? Path means a system which will take closer to your intended goal. A path is a system which will take you closer towards the intended goal. For that matter, what is the goal? If you don't know what the goal is, then you don't have a path. Right? If you don't know what the goal is, you will not have a path. And if you don't know what the reality is, you will not have the goal. Right? So the path, to make sense of the path, there should be the basis, the reality, and the goal. Connect the two things. The reality that you are in, from there, you have to go towards the goal. That becomes the path. So the path makes sense only if there's the reality and the goal. And the goal makes sense. The goal makes sense only if they say you know where you are, and you're not happy about where you are, and you want to go somewhere. But if you don't know where you are, then the goal makes no sense. Right? So therefore we see that first, the foremost thing that is so important for us, the required, is to know where we are, the basis, the reality where we are. If you know this, then the question, are you happy with where you are? Once you know where you are so well, then the question, are you happy? If you're not happy, then what do you want? I want to be freed from the unhappy state that I am. So that freedom of the unhappy state that I'm in now, that freedom is known as the goal. That becomes your goal. So any system that takes you closer towards that goal becomes the path. So then it becomes the basis or the reality, and the path and the goal. Okay, for that matter, to say then, so this path, depending on what path you have chosen, how sensible this path is, how realistic this path is, that then defines how qualitative your spirituality is, your path is. Okay, so with this we come to realize that the reality that we are in, we have to know the reality that we are in, the reality. If you know it so well, then what are you dissatisfied with? What are you not happy about? You want to get rid of this unhappiness, whatever unhappiness that you feel. So the state of the removal of this state of the freedom from this unhappiness, that becomes your goal. And the question is whether or not that is feasible, that goal is feasible, that we will explore. And if you sense that yes, this goal is feasible, then the question is how. So when you say how, then the path comes into being. a system to take you from where you are to the intended goal. That becomes the path. Okay, so the basis, the path, and the goal. This is so important. For that matter, we have to know what the basis, the reality that we are in is. This reality. This is so important. Okay, for to know the reality, the reality meaning the state, the plight and the state that we are in now. The state and the plight that we are now. So what is this? What is that state that I'm in, that I call it now? What is that state? Okay, don't begin somewhere else. Begin from yourself. This you, this self. Okay, begin from this self. Begin from this self. This self. One is the one is the reality that we live in. There are so many the aspects. There are so many aspects. Okay, this reality has so many aspects, and on the say one reality, we start from very simple reality. And then we can explore how it can take us into a deeper reality. So one very simple reality is, who are you? What is this I? We start from there. What is this I? And say the happiness that I seek. I'm happy, I'm unhappy, whatever. So that is related to this I, the person, and the world with which I interact. This person and the world with which I interact. Saying, if I happen to be with my two parents, I'm very happy. If I happen to be with some strangers who are very unkind, it can really traumatize me. I don't like that. Okay, so when exploring like this, then we see that these questions arise. So the very basic reality, very coarse reality, say the I and the world in which I interact. So we have to study these two things. In studying, then we will be thrilled to discover that this reality that I'm studying with myself and studying the world, the phenomena with which I interact, the world with which I interact, I see that it has two levels. One is the superficial level, which we call as the world, conventional world. And there's a subtle reality which is not easily accessible to the ordinary beings, right? The subtle reality, of course, which we can get to understand through rational thinking, through logical thinking. We can get there. So that we'll come to learn later on. At the moment, say, what's the reality that we live in according to my very simple thinking? From a very basic and simple thinking, I come to know that there is this self, and there's a world with which I interact. World, for example, good things, bad things, and neutral things. Okay, so what is this person? What is this person? Then you explore. When I explore this person, I see that I have the body and I have the mind. Right? I have the body and I have the mind. And some say that, okay, this person is more than these two. The body is not you, the mind is not you, but this I, which is so important, separate from the body and the mind. And some say that, no, the body and mind just combine together, then the self comes into being as an immersion property. Okay, this is then the various positions. Whatever is the case, what we really see, empirically what can see. There are two things. What we can empirically see. Empirically see means something which I can rationally, which I can sense. What I can empirically see is that I have the body, that's for sure. Right? Whether this body is me or not, that is a different question. But I have the body. And then on this body, on the basis of this body, then we demarcate the self and others. No, sorry, the boy and the girl, young, old. All these are determined on the basis of this body. That is for sure. That is empirically visible. One. Then another thing that is empirically visible is the mind. Mind is again something which is so empirical. Empirical doesn't mean something material. Empirical means something which we can sensibly discern, sensibly cognize, sensibly say validate, verify the existence. That is mind. Okay. What mind is just a brain? Right? It's just a brain. No, there's a mind different from brain. For example, saying, whatever thought process that's happening within me now, within you now, whatever thought process that you may be, so while attending the class, you may have many worries. You may have, worries in your mind about your mother, about the ailing mother, about the ailing father, about the ailing friend, and so forth. You may for worry. So the neuroscientists cannot see that. Neuroscientists, they can see your brain waves. They can see the neurotransmitters transmitted from one neuron to the other through the synaptic connections. They can see that, but they cannot see what you are thinking. And you, on the other hand, you have the bare experience, direct experience of what you are thinking. Yet you don't know which neuron is transmitted from which transmitters are transmitted, transmitted from which neuron to the other neuron. What kind of synaptic connections and what kind of brain waves? You have no clue. So that part which you have no clue, which the neuroscientists can very visibly see, that's your brain. Which you have a direct experience of what is going in your mind, which the neuroscientists have no clue, that's your mind. So that mind is the most important thing in this universe. For you, that mind within you is the most important thing in this universe for you. So that mind decides whether you're happy, unhappy. That mind decides whether you need the AC or not AC. That mind decides whether you want to get a job, you don't want to go for a job. Right? That mind is the centrality, the central point of the whole universe is that mind. If it's just the neurons without this, the aspect of the mind, it's just like a piece of wood outside, a piece of rock outside, a plant outside. Right? We don't fight for the rights of the plants. Right? We can fight for the animal rights. We can fight for the human rights. But we don't fight for the rights of the plants. So we become like, if it is just the neurons and without the mind, which I explained now, that feeling, if that feeling which is so prominent within you, which you alone have the direct access, if that part is missing, the whole world makes no sense. Say, Mars, whether it has water or not, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Whether there's water or not water. Pluto, whether there's water or no water, who cares? And then Saturn and the Jupiter, it says that it is just enveloped with the very poisonous cloud. Poisonous cloud and poisonous ice. Who cares? Even this ice. But on the Earth, if there's the poisonous cloud, finish. Right? Everybody would be concerned. For example, Delhi, the pollution is terrible. But it's for sure 1,000 times better than what is happening there in the Jupiter and Saturn. Poisonous clouds are there, poisonous the ice are there. If that is what is happening in planet Earth, we are done. So why it's so scary? Because there's this factor which we call the mind. That is the one which is afraid of that. That is one which appreciates a clean air and so forth. Just the brain, if that part is missing, if it's just the brain, it's just like what is happening on the cellular organisms on the plant level. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Okay, so with this mind, the point is that so we see that there's a mind there. Empirically, what we see is that we are made of this self. We have the body, we have the mind. Right? Body and the mind. Now, empirically speaking, we have the body and mind. On the basis of the body, we decide whether I'm a male, female, I'm young, old. Right? They're all decided on the basis of this body. And then in terms of how compassionate you are, how knowledgeable you are, as a person, how knowledgeable you are, how intelligent you are, how compassionate you are, how stable you are in your thinking and so forth, that's all determined by this mind. So we see that what I describe as me is all can be described so well on the basis of the description of the body and the description of the mind. Like the table, for example. Table is made of top plank and the legs. We see that the table is, so I can put the things up on the table, which is about like 1.5 feet away from the ground, because the legs, depending on the length of the legs of the table, then you see the objects, what level it is in the air, and depending on the size of the wooden plank, top plank, what number of things you can keep there is determined with that. So besides the top plank and the legs, there's no table, separate table, right? So all what we describe as a table is nothing but the characteristics which the parts are endowed with. Likewise, the self is no exception. Depending on the characteristics of the body and the characteristics of the mind, then the characteristics of the self is posited. Okay, so with this what we see is that we are nothing but we are made of the body and the mind. Now to explore just as the body for the body, we see that we say in the body, say some people expert in the body meaning not just the physical, the atomic things, even the sound. We also have the sound, voice, the sound. And then our body also has the smell, the taste, and so forth. We have all these feet. All these fall under the category of the body or the form, and the thinking part, they all fall in the category of the mind. So now the body can further be divided into more divisions, and the mind. The mind, we see, because it's so important, we see that the justice of the body, we study it in different ways, physics, chemistry, biology. It's all to study the body meaning physical form. Likewise, the mind is very complicated. Being very complicated, we see that the mind can be studied in the form of the mind in general and the specific functions. So on that basis, now to go deeper into what this self is constituted of, we study the 5 aggregates. So today what we're learning is, we are learning the 5 aggregates, the 12 sources, sense sources, and the 18 elements. So that constitute what the world is, who you are and what the world is. 5 aggregates and the 12 sense sources and the 18 elements. So if you know these 3 sets, these 3 things so well, then you know the world, you know the entire world, and you know who you are, and at least on the gross form, at least you know the world, the self and the world with which you interact. Okay, now this self is nothing but made of the 5 aggregates. Okay, so let's see what 5 aggregates. We are nothing but made of the body and the mind. Body, we qualify it as we say give it a separate aggregate of the form. And the mind, we see that this mind can be spoken of in a very general mind in general. Saying, I'm happy, my mind is happy today, my mind. And then when you go into this mind, you see that it has so many facets, it has so many aspects, depending on the various functions. So, depending on the various functions, we describe what is known as the mental factors. So, the mind in general and the mental factors. And the mental factors, how many mental factors can be there? 10, 20, 51, 50, 60, 100. Infinite. Our mind works. Our mind has infinite functions. And it has so many infinite functions. Of these, say the Buddha at one point picked up 51 mental factors, which are so important, so relevant to our personal growth. 51 mental factors. So we will work on the basis of the 51 mental factors. Of the 51 mental factors, there are two mental factors which are exceptionally important for us. One is the mental factor of the feeling. Why the feeling is so important is that feeling decides all our actions. Whether you want to come to Tibet house, not come to Tibet house, whether you want to have the dinner, not have dinner, or whether you want to have an apple with the dinner, no apple with the dinner, or wine with the dinner, not without wine with the dinner, right? All are decided by the feeling, right? When you think of the apple, oh, dinner with the apple, a very pleasant feeling comes to you, right? Okay, then that will drive you to have apple with the dinner. But if an apple, you realize that you don't have the apple at home, you have to go to buy from outside, which is a little further away, right? And then you feel unpleasant feeling going out, right? So this unpleasant feeling will stop you from going out. Overall, right? Pleasant feeling wanting to have the apple, unpleasant feeling of going out. So these two will see which will outweigh the other. If the pleasant feeling outweighs the unpleasant feeling, you will go to buy the apples. And if the unpleasant feeling outweighs the pleasant feeling, you will not go to buy the apples and you will then bear without the apple. Okay, in other words, all our actions are determined by the feeling. So the mental factor of the feeling plays an extremely important point. For example, say when are you prone to be angry? When you are, say, when you're very tired, or when you are very relaxed, very fresh. Which of the two situations you are more prone to anger? Why? When you're very tired, what is happening is that because of physical exhaustion, this can easily trigger unpleasant feeling within you. The moment this unpleasant feeling arises, then you cannot bear it and you try to resist this by showing anger. You try to avoid this because the person says, oh, would you mind, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, whatever. Oh, I want to have the medicine, would you mind going out to buy the medicine? Don't understand that I came from my job, from my work now. I'm very tired, right? Okay, so the anger arises because what happens that just to think of going out, already very tired, I don't have the energy to go out again, right? And then the person expects you to go out. So think of going out, very unpleasant feeling comes in you because you're very tired, right? Whereas outside, the whole day you're free, you have nothing really to do, and you want a little bit of exercise, and then outside there's also the interesting things happening, right? Interesting things happening unusually today, and then your brother, sister, father, mother, husband, wife, whoever tells you, would you mind getting me some medicine? I'm a little unwell today. You'll be very happy to go out, right? Very pleasant feeling comes in you. You will say yes, no anger. So the feelings, when you're very tired, then it is prone to give rise to the unpleasant feeling. This unpleasant feeling will just, so if you don't, so this unpleasant feeling will give rise to the, say, to resist. So that this unpleasant feeling does not escalate, then it expresses in the form of anger. So the anger, the fuel is the unpleasant feeling. So this anger then is expressed physical and verbal forms. Okay. So the feelings play an extremely important role in the life. In other words, all our actions are determined by the feelings. So if somebody is into psychology, and particularly nowadays it's quite popular, people studying psychology, and particularly clinical psychology, and then they want to set up their own the clinic and do counseling and so forth. So for that matter, this part is so important to know that the feelings decide all our actions. Okay, so if the clinical psychologist or the psychotherapist does not have any clue about this, the reality that how the person expresses himself or herself into depression or hyper, they are all nothing but determined by the feelings inside. If they don't know this, then the treatment they're going to give is going to be very symptomatic, or else it's going to be very, say, very long-term treatment process. Cannot treat the person so well, effectively, and can easily relapse. Whereas if you can tackle if you know what triggers the unpleasant feeling inside, if you tackle that, control the unpleasant feeling, finish. The problems are under control very easily. Okay, so for that matter, because the feeling plays a very important role, feeling is ascribed as a separate mental fact, aggregate of feeling. Okay, now we have aggregate of, we are nothing but mere aggregate of form, and the aggregate of consciousness in general, aggregate of feeling. Okay, now out of millions of mental functions, another mental function which is so important is the mental factor of distinguishing. Mental factor to distinguish things is also known as a discrimination. Discrimination has several connotations. It can have very negative connotation. It should not be understood in that sense, in the form of discrimination here, in the sense of the ability to distinguish things. What is right from wrong, what is black, what is the sophisticated, what is complex, what is simple, the ability to distinguish things. To distinguish things, what degree of distinguishment that can make, say, gross one, subtlest, that determines the quality of your life. In other words, this mental factor of discrimination plays an extremely important role in your life, pertaining to determining the quality of your life. You're getting it? Determining the quality of your life. For example, say, what do you prefer okay, let's say if you are a painter, if you're a painter by profession, you want to remain a mediocre painter, or you want to become a Michelangelo painter? What do you prefer?
Michelangelo.
Of course, everybody prefers that level. What makes Michelangelo level's painting so less? Right? And there's so many painters. Everybody wants to become one like Michelangelo, but there's so less number of people of that level. What makes that? Because this mental factor of discrimination, the sharpness of the mental factor of discrimination, which Michelangelo had, to reach to that level of the sharpness is very difficult. So Michelangelo, why he's so distinct, is that he has extremely sharp mental factor pertaining to the painting. So therefore Michelangelo, his level, his status is only few. Likewise, physics. In physics, we see that everybody, all physicists, they want to become like the as renowned as Albert Einstein. But why not everybody becomes one like him? Because the sharpness of the mental factor of discrimination pertaining to physics, the ability to tease apart the nuances, the way Albert Einstein could do, that is something so rare. Because that is so rare, the quality of being a physicist, to reach that level of the quality of Einstein, is so rare. So the quality of your life, and so for example, even say the politicians. The politicians. Who are the politicians who can be so influential and very stable? Again, the same thing. Who have that sharpness of the mental discrimination to see the nuances as you ascend in the position, whatever, particularly in the area of politics and so forth, as you ascend in the pyramid, as you ascend, for you to slip into the faults and mistakes is easy. As you ascend higher, that's easy. So because of which you need a tremendous sharpness to see where the mistake can happen. And then most of the politicians say, ascend, they fall. As ascend, those people who can really succeed to go to the end for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years is so rare. It's so rare. Who can be very stable, who can be someone who is being liked by the whole public, right? Public meaning the educated, uneducated, people of all religions, people of all ethnicities, everybody loving that person. To reach that level, that requires a tremendous sharpness of the mental discrimination to see where things can go wrong. Right? Okay, so the mental factor of discrimination decides or determines the quality of one's life. And everybody wants, whatever field one follows, everybody wants to be of the highest quality. And yet that is determined by the mental factor of discrimination. You're getting it? Okay. So therefore, we see that we are made of the aggregate form, aggregate feeling, aggregate discrimination, and aggregate consciousness in general. And all the remaining mental factors, we put them all into one group. We call it the aggregate of compositional factors. Aggregate of compositional factors. Okay, now we see that what I am, I'm nothing but I'm made of the 5 aggregates. You're getting it? Okay, this is one thing that we need to know. And the second thing that we need to know is that everything that exists in this universe, which we call as a composite phenomena which is composed of the parts, composed of the more tangible parts. In other words, composite phenomena, all composite phenomena should necessarily fall under one of these 5 aggregates. In other words, aggregates and compositional, the composite phenomena, they mean the same. Aggregates and composite phenomena, these two mean the same. These two are synonymous. You're getting it? Okay, aggregate is a very standard word. So if you don't know it, we have to learn it. Right, this is a technical term that you have to learn it. Or we can say aggregate, boom, boom. Okay, collection, heap, and so forth. But these are not standard words. These are not standard words. The standard word is the aggregates. This is the best word. We have to learn it. Yeah. Okay. So we see that with the 5 aggregates, what we have to learn is that we have to learn 2 things. One is that we are made of 5 aggregates. Each one of us, with human beings, with animals, we are made of 5 aggregates. What are the 5 aggregates? Aggregate of form, aggregate of feeling, aggregate of discrimination, aggregate of compositional factors, and aggregate of consciousness. Okay, these we are made with 5 aggregates. This is what we to learn. The next thing is aggregates, what we call as aggregates and the composite phenomena and impermanent phenomena. These three are synonymous. Aggregate, composite phenomena, impermanent phenomena, and causally produced phenomena. Causally produced phenomena and functional things. A causally produced phenomenon is product. Okay, same aggregate, what else? Impermanent phenomena, composite phenomena, causally produced phenomena, functional things. These 5 are synonymous. You getting it? Okay, this is what we need to keep in mind. Okay, now the second part. Second part is the 12 sense sources. 12 sense sources. Okay, thus far what we have learned is that we have learned the self. This self. Say the first time you are conceived in the mother's womb. You conceive the mother's womb. You did not have any contact with the external world. You are trapped in prison. The first time you are conceived in the mother's womb, you are trapped in the prison. Meaning that in the prison, if you're put in a cell, no windows, just a solid door, right? Solid door and no windows. The moment the door is closed, total dark, pitch darkness. So you have no access to the external world. So this is exactly what happens when we are in the first moment of the conception of the mother's womb. Okay, then slowly the fetus in the mother's womb, it starts to develop. As it starts to develop, then the windows slowly start to come. Windows. How many windows are there? There are 6 windows. 6 windows are there. Okay, 6 windows. What are the 6 windows? Well, the external world. The world with which we interact. The world with which we interact. We see that there are the 6 different things. 6 different kinds of things. 6 different kinds of things. The first one thing is the colors and the shapes, which is the visual objects. This one object. So because that the colors and shapes, the visual objects are there, we must need a window to see that. So that window is the eye sense power. Eye sense power. Eye sense source. And then we have the sound. For that we have to have the ear sense source. And there's also the smell there in the outside world. We need the nose sense source. And then also there's the word, the taste, gustatory. Taste is there. For that, without the tongue, we cannot really taste the external, the gustatory objects. So we need the sense source of the tongue. And then there's also the many things like heat, cold, heavy, light, rough, smooth, and so forth outside. These things, in order to get access to these things, your eyes cannot see that. Your eyes cannot decide whether it's heavy or light, whether it's smooth or rough, whether it's hot or cold. Your eyes cannot decide. You need another faculty through which we can sense it. That is the body sense power. 5. And then there are many other things. Many other things. For example, like say, for example, okay, let's say the dreams, the dream objects. Dream objects, you cannot get access to dream objects through these 5 windows. We need the 6th window, mental. The mental. You're getting it? So through these 6 windows, then we can get access to the external. So this person who's made of the 5 aggregates, this person, in order to interact with the world, we need to know what the world is constituted of. And we know that the world is constituted of these 6 objects. What are the 6 objects? What are the 6 objects? 5 sensory objects, no objects. 5 sensory objects and the mental object. 5 sensory objects and the mental object. 6 objects are the outside. Right? We see the visual objects are there. Okay, for example, say on if you are to buy apple, what apple would you like? Which, if there are various choices, but the freshly very good color apple or a very dull color apple, which do you prefer to buy? I'm not talking about the fresh, both are fresh. The color-wise, one is very dull, one is very beautifully beautiful one. Okay, so apple, the color one, nice color, and then the good taste or bad taste one. Good taste, and you smell it, good smell or just the smellless, good smell. So you want the apple with good color, visual, then the good taste, the tongue, and the smell, and the sound. I don't know. Apple. Okay, the crispy one. All right, crunchy one, or the excessively soft one, the crunchy one, right? Which makes this good sound. Okay, sound. And what else? And then in terms of the touch, some apples are rough, very rough, right? And some are very smooth. So with the same apple, we see that the 5 objects are there within the same apple. 5 objects are there. You're getting it? 5 objects are there. Now at the same time, then we can think about, we can think about, okay, this apple is nice, not nice. You're getting it? Nice, not nice. Expensive apple. Apple will not tell you, I'm expensive, not expensive. So this all your mind has to work. It's not your eyes, right? These 5 senses, they do not have capacity to decide whether it's expensive, not expensive, right? Rare, not rare. It's only mental consciousness that decides. So within the same apple, we see that all the 6 objects are there. So this is what the world is constituted of. This world is constituted of the 6 objects. So these 6 objects, we call them the object sources. 6 object sources. 6 object sources. Because for us to connect to the world, for this person to connect to the world, we should know what are the objects with which we are going to be connected. We're going to be connected with the 6 objects. So these objects, they become the source for you to have the consciousness, for you to be aware that yes, these 6 sources are there. So for you to be aware, this awareness to arise, it requires the source of the objects. What objects are there? 6 objects are there. And for these 6 objects, we need 6 different mediums, 6 different windows. So 6 object sources are there, and 6 sense sources are there. So 6 object sources, and 6 sense sources combined together. How many sources? 12 sources. So these are known as the 12 sources. 6 object sources and 6 sense sources. Total 12 sources. So why they are known as the sources? Because just as from the source you get the effect, from these 12 things, 6 objects and the 6 object sources and the sense sources, then the consciousnesses within your mind. Oh, there's a flower there. This apple is the delicious apple. It is a fragrant apple. So this consciousness arise. The 6 consciousnesses can arise as the effects, as the results of the 12 objects, or the 6 objects and the 6 sources. So therefore they become the 6 sense sources. These 12 are known as the sources. Okay. So we have finished with the 5 aggregates. We have finished with the 12 not sense sources, 12 sources. 12 sources. Okay. So this is okay. 12 sources. What we are studying this. We are studying the 12 sources. We are not talking about the consciousness now. Why? Because the consciousness is related to the person, the subject, the person. The person is to interact with the world, right? So we already studied the person on the basis of the 5 aggregates. We already studied the person. After knowing what the person is, then we study how this person interacts with the external world. For that, external world is made of 6 objects, and there's 6 windows to connect to the 6 objects. You're getting it? So these are the sources to give rise to the 6 consciousnesses. Now to go into the consciousnesses, we will go into the 18 elements. You're getting it? So what we thus far learned is 5 aggregates and the 12 sources. Okay, next. Now tell me, what's the world consist of? Your house, and your parents, and the universe, whatever the world has. What does this world consist of? You want to now know the complete thing. The first one, we studied more about the self, the person. Second, we studied more about the objects and the medium, the sense, the windows. Now we want to know about everything of the world, of everything of the universe. Everything of the universe, now it's very easy. 6 objects, 6 windows, and the 6 results. You're getting it? 6 objects, 6 windows, and the 6 results. What are the 6 results? What is the 6 object? So if you relate this to one object, one set, right? Set of three, right? Set of 3 meaning with the visual object. Visual object is a medium there. Eyes. Eye sense power. Eye sense source. This will give rise to eye sense consciousness. So set of 3. Visual object, eye sense source, and the eye sense consciousness. 3. So likewise, a set of 3 into how many? Smell, 6. Set of 3 into 6, 3 6 are 18. So these 18 form the 18 elements. So these 18 elements constitute the entire universe. Everything that exists in the universe, there's nothing that exists in the universe which does not fall under one of these 18 elements. If you know what the 18 elements are, anybody speak about anything in this universe, you can easily categorize them. You can easily know, okay, this falls under this category, this falls in that category. You know everything so well. Okay, this constitutes the 18 elements. So now what we learned is 5 aggregates, the 12 sources, the 12 sources, and the 18 elements. So if you know this, we know the reality. We know the reality. Not the full reality, a part of the reality. Once you know this reality, then we will study more to know the reality more closely. To know the reality more closely, that okay, so with this mental, say the 6 effects, 6 elements, 6 consciousness elements, 6 consciousness elements, particularly when you are happy, unhappy, they are all to do with the mental consciousness, element of the mental consciousness. So this mental consciousness, when is that happy, when is that not happy, when it doesn't know these 18 elements, when it is ignorant of these realities, then it is in doubt. It does not see the reality. When it does not see the reality, then it can end up in all the problems. It can end up in all the problems. You're getting it? All the problems.
So, just a little bit more. So, when you don't know these 18 elements, then?
When you don't know what these 18 elements are, when you don't know these elements, we are just stuck in a very basic ignorance. very basic ignorance. There's no possible by which you can explore the functional workings of the mind. If you don't know how the workings of the mind, that is ignorance, and then you don't know how the suffering comes into being, how the happiness can be created. You have no knowledge of that. Right? So that is ignorance. As long as we are enshrouded in this ignorance, we will never have happiness. We are only going to be delving into suffering all the time. Right? Okay. So for that matter, we need to have this very expansive learning. The moment we know these things, at least you have some command of what the universe is like. A universe, although I do not know exactly what is the Milky Way galaxy, whether or not Mars has water, no water, or once the Mars has water, no water. Even I don't know these things so well, but I do know that Mars falls under the category of the physical form, object of the. So within that, there are the 5 objects. That's for sure, right? The 5 sensory objects, right? The visual, sound, smell. The wind must be blowing there. Wind. So this hot wind must be there. So this hot wind, there's a sound happening there. And the taste is there, the touch is there, and the smell, everything is there. Right? Okay. So we see that the more, so that way your mind becomes active. To know, then mind becomes active. As the mind becomes active, then the mind will explore more. Explore more. Then eventually you come to discover the reality, emptiness, ultimate reality. You're getting it? Then you come to realize the ultimate reality, emptiness. And then to sophistication, conventional reality, ultimate reality, the two truths, conventional truth, ultimate truth, all will be unfolded gradually. You're getting it? This is so precious for us to know this reality. Then from there you will realize that the true nature of mind is so pure. The true nature of mind is so pure. This ignorance can be cleared. The moment I know something, that corresponding ignorance is gone. So this is the nature of my mind. If I delete all the ignorance, the best of the wisdom, the maximum wisdom dawns in me. Right? That is the true nature of my mind. And this wisdom does not come from anywhere else. The moment ignorance is gone, the wisdom inside comes out. Say the soil is going to return, the gold inside will glow. You don't have to bring the gold from outside. It's already inside us. So the true nature of the mind will become manifest. So at that point, you are free from all suffering. This is the only way. So therefore, you have to study. The moment we study this, we can see the prospect of where you are going, where you're going to end up, and we realize that we are suffering. I don't want suffering. And what I want is, I want the maximum happiness. So the goal, knowing this reality, then the goal becomes very clear. What's the goal? I don't want suffering, freedom from suffering. I want maximum happiness. Maximum happiness. These two are your two goals. Freedom from all sufferings and the maximum happiness. These are two goals. So these two goals, technically it is referred to as the enlightenment. Enlightenment. So that's the goal. And you know this reality more closely. From there it becomes very clear what the goal is. Once you know that we don't have this goal yet. We don't have this, what I aspire, freedom from suffering and a maximum happiness. I don't have it yet. I have to achieve it. It's achievable. I have the reality of the Buddha nature. It's achievable. It can be achieved. Okay, so what is to be achieved becomes your goal. And the fact that you have not achieved is the reality. So what connects us from this reality to the intended goal, that becomes the path. What's the path? The wisdom. The wisdom to remove these mental defilements. That becomes the path. So for this wisdom, we need the driving force to make this wisdom move from one step to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to eventually to the fifth. We need the force. That becomes the driving force of the bodhicitta, grounded on renunciation. Okay, so this, if we understand the dharma in this form, then it becomes very convincing for us, And then what we do, we become very confident and convinced, very confident. If you're very confident, then there's a joy in following what you're doing. Okay, we'll stop here. If there's any questions. Yes, Badriji?
I had a couple of questions. I think without the mic.
With the mic, because it's being recorded.
Thank you. The first question was that in the 5 aggregates, the aggregate of discrimination, is it just the ability to distinguish, or is it the ability to make a value judgment that this is better than that?
Okay, so the discrimination within that, there are so many kinds of value judgment. All these fall under this category. So value judgment, with this there's less value, with this there's more value, with this there's more meaningful, with this is less meaningful, right? Okay, all these fall under the discrimination. Discrimination, it is so vast. So therefore I mentioned, I would for example say for all the companies, particularly for the product companies, we have the quality control. Right? Quality control, that requires, for example, say mobile. When you produce mobile, then in some companies they distribute this mobile free to some people, some, either selected people, and then if they're able to identify, pick up the faults of the mobile, they will be given a whole lot of money, right? Whole lot of money just to pick up one fault, mistake meaning the limitations. Pick up one and the errors. Pick up one, the person's paid, because these are the errors which we don't see, and the customers can easily identify this, and then everything will shut down, right? The economy, the business market will shut down. So therefore, before it is produced to the market, it is given to those people who can really look for these errors before it is brought to the market. You're getting it? Quality control. Likewise, the value judgment, right? Say for the corporate, for the governments, these the factors or the departments are extremely important. For that, we need people who have a tremendous sharpness of discrimination pertaining to the value. All these things are included in that. In other words, I said that whatever gives a quality to your life, whatever gives a quality to your life because of your thinking, that is discrimination. Yes. Here.
I had a second question.
We can switch.
Yes.
In this perspective of all this discussion, where is this dependent origination comes in?
Oh, this is a good question. Very good question.
One other question is this self, particularly this aggregate also. So this is not constant. All aggregates, it's not constant. So I is not also constant. I is also I is not permanent. About that I elaborate.
Okay. First question: dependent origination. When you speak about the 5 aggregates, actually dependent origination to be very technical. Dependent origination is better to speak of dependent origination pertaining to the 18 elements. 18 elements, or the 18 elements, or the same the 12 the sources. Whereas if you want to speak about dependent origination pertaining to the 5 aggregates, then we have to speak of dependent origination in a slightly so not in the form of categorization. Where does dependent origination fall? This is not how we're going to speak related to the 5 aggregates, because dependent origination falls in the category of the permanent phenomena. Dependent origination falls under permanent phenomena. Permanent doesn't mean eternal. Permanent doesn't mean, say, the unchanged. Permanent doesn't mean that it is something which is unchanging, static. This is not connotation. Permanent has a different connotation in the study of logic. So, in the eyes of the ordinary people, the non-philosophers, non-logicians, permanent means something which lasts long. Permanent means something which is eternal. Whereas in the study of logic, it has a different meaning, a subtle meaning, I should say. Subtle meaning. In this context, what we learned is dependent origination. We will learn that it falls under the category of the permanent phenomena, and it doesn't fall in the category of the impermanent phenomena. Because it is not impermanent phenomena, it is not composite phenomena. Composite, impermanent, these two are synonymous. Because it is not a composite phenomena, it is not an aggregate. Aggregate, composite, impermanent, functional things, and what? Causally produced phenomena, they are synonymous. So, if you want to relate dependent origination with the 5 aggregates, then we can say that 5 aggregates come into being by the principle of dependent origination. The self, which is constituted of the 5 aggregates, the self comes into being by the principle of dependent origination, by dependence on the 5 aggregates. This is how we can say. Whereas, if you're very precise to say that where does it, categorically, where does it fall? Where does it dependent origination, where does this principle of dependent origination fall? Which of the objects? Then we have to speak of either the 12 sources. 12 sources, it falls in the category of the metal object. It is not the physical object, it is a metal object. So likewise, 18 elements, it falls as an element of the metal objects. Yeah. Okay, this is a very good question. Thank you. Badriji, next question?
Yes.
Ishra, I was wondering if the mental consciousness should also become a part of each of these consciousness. And without the mental consciousness, whether it is possible to have the eye, ear, touch consciousness.
Okay, so causally responsible can be a causal factor. Part is different. Part, we have a very specific definition as to what a part means. So for example, let's say that the seed and the shoot, apple seed and the apple tree. Apple tree, this apple seed, which is a causal factor, which is the cause of this apple shoot, apple tree. This seed is not a part of that. This seed is the causal factor of that. It's not a part. Part means apple tree has multiple parts, like the leaves, the branches, the flower, which are there, which form the apple tree at the moment. Simultaneous parts which constitute the apple tree, these are known as the parts. So the consciousness, mental consciousness, can be the causal factor for the future sensory consciousnesses, but they are not a part. It is not a part of these. Okay. Here, your name, sorry? Yeah. Mrityunjay, yes. Mrityunjay. Mrityunjay, you have to, what is your second question? About the self being impermanent, 5 aggregates is also impermanent, yes? This I is impermanent? Yes.
What is the constitute of this aggregate?
Yes.
These aggregates are always changing.
Always changing. So what is the question?
I is Brahma. The self is, in the sense, is also.
Okay, so for that, Mrityunjay, what I would suggest is, now, okay, so what do you do now? Either Tejala will help you to give you the recording of the concept of the permanent and the impermanent. So that we had a very extensive discussion earlier in one of these classes. or in the Trigomakos. If you can locate that particular thing, and then you can provide it to Mrityunjay. You have to learn, so there is a very technical study, very interesting topic. It's a very interesting topic. What is permanent? Say, for example, this self lasts forever. This self lasts forever. Self, this self, I, Dorji. Dorji will not last forever. Dorji will last just one life. Next life, I may become Hema Malini. Or I may become, I may become another girl, Mary. Or what? Lena. Right? I may become Lena next life. Right? So there, Dorji stops. You're getting it? Dorji stops. But this I will continue. Oh, next time I will be Lena. Next time I will be the Hema. Right? Next time I will be Hema. So this I is still there. So this I will continue. This is not permanent. Study the logic. If you don't study logic, according to the ordinary discussion, we say, oh, this I is permanent because it lasts forever. You're getting it? Oh, this house is permanent. Actually, it's not permanent. So why we say that this house is permanent? Because everything else was constructed, demolished, constructed, demolished. But this house lasted for the last 1,000 years. So this is permanent. But this is according to the ordinary people's understanding. According to very precise, subtle understanding or more professional understanding, it is, say, lasting, it is durable, it's not permanent. So permanent doesn't mean the durability. Permanent doesn't mean the eternity. Or eternity doesn't mean the permanence. You getting it? This is very important. With the study of logic, we'll come to know that this self lasts eternally, but this self is not permanent. Why this self is not permanent? For example, say, within this life, Dorji exists, right? Say, if I live for like 80 or 90 years, if I live for 90 years, then from, say, the age 1 through to 90 years old man, this Dorji lives. You're getting it? But, so for 90 years, he's permanent. This is what the ordinary people will think. But no, while he lasts that long, during that, momentarily he's changing. Right? Day one, he was very young. Till 10 years old, he's very beautiful. And then 20 years, 30 years, then there's, the beauty disappears. Right? Then white hair starts coming. Right? Then it becomes very ugly. You're getting it? So there's constant change happening while it lasts. Even in the process of lasting, within that there's a change happening. So therefore it is impermanent while it lasts. Likewise, it can last eternally long, but in the process it's constantly changing within. You're getting it? That is something which we have to study separate. If you don't study this, right, then we have to say just follow what the ordinary people, how ordinary people understand permanence. This is very naive understanding. Okay, we'll stop here. Question, yes, here, Lena?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where does action fall into in the 5 aggregates?
Action meaning karma.
Maybe.
Okay, action meaning physical and verbal actions.
Yeah, because you have the discrimination. You say, okay, give your life quality.
Yes.
But after discriminating, you take action. This is what I mean.
Very good. So this action, physical and verbal actions.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say physical and verbal actions, where do they fall? This is a good question. Where do they fall in terms of aggregates?
Yeah. Is
what you're asking? Oh, with the aggregates, there's a physical action. Physical action. Okay, according to the highest Buddhist school, physical action is physical. Because it is physical, it's a physical form. it falls in an aggregator form because physical action which is visible to your eyes. So that falls under the. So in other words, anything which is explicitly the object of the five senses, they all fall under the form. Anything which is explicitly the object, the unique object. For example, I can see Lena, right? I can see you. I can see you, but you are not the unique object of my eyes. You are not the unique object. Because you also have the mind. Mind is not what I can see. But the flower, it does not have mind. So the flower is the unique object of the eyes, not the ear. You're getting it? Okay, let's say visual objects. Visual objects, you are not the visual object. You have a visual object. You are not visual object. You're getting it? The flower is a visual object. It's not only it has, but it also is. You have, but you are not. I have hand, but I am not hand. You're getting it? So you are not visual object. So therefore you are not unique object of my eyes. Although I can see you, my eyes can see you, but you are not unique object. So what I'm saying, unique objects of the five senses, they all fall under the physical form. You getting it? Good. Any questions? Deja, you have a question?
The imprints.
Okay, imprints. Wow. Imprints, where does it fall? Okay, of the five aggregates, imprints are impermanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Because it is impermanent, it should necessarily fall under the five aggregates. So it's not a physical form, it's not a mental, right? It doesn't fall in aggregator form, not in the mental aggregates. No feeling, no discrimination, no consciousness. Aggregator, composite factors. Composite factor is the easiest. Aggregator composite factor is the easiest. Any impermanent phenomena which does not fall under any of the other four invariably fall under this category. Composite factor means, aggregator composite factor means a composite factor which is, this is the very technical meaning. Composite aggregator composite factor is an aggregate which is also composition factor. Composite factor and impermanent, they mean the same. Right? Now aggregator composite factor and impermanent is not same. Aggregator composite factor and impermanent is not. Composite factor and impermanent is the same. Right? Now what is the aggregator composite factor? Any composition factor which does not fall under the other four aggregates are known as the same aggregate of a composite factor other than the other four. This is aggregate of composite factor is a short form. Aggregate composite factor is a short form of aggregate of composite factor other than the other four aggregates. This is very definition.
Geshe, sorry. So before coming to this understanding, I have thought that the aggregate of compositional factors is all other mental factors.
Not necessary.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. This is what we very clearly see in the Abhidhamma Kosh, where in Tibetan the line is Duje Pumbo Shile Shen. This is the Ajahn Vasubandhu's line. Duje Pumbo Shile Shen. Duje means Duje is a composite factor. Aggregate of composite factor is the aggregate other than the four. This is the line by Ajahn Vasubandhu, right? So this is source. Okay, good. Yes, Badriji.
are aggregate of compositional factors and aggregate of volitional factors one and the same? I read volitional factors also.
Okay, very good question. Thank you. Okay. So basically, it's an English translation, right? So the original source is Sanskrit, Pali, and then translated into Tibetan. With the Tibetan, you will only see Duje Pumbo. You will not find any other words. It's only Duje Pumbo. Why in Tibetan there is no multiple translations? Because the Tibetan translation is standardized. Standardized. How Tibetan they're successful in standardizing and not English? Because many factors. One, the king. King used his political power. Right? King used his political power. In this area, in the denomination, under my denomination, no one, this word, what is for, say, what is the Sanskrit? Anyone? For the composite factor? You don't know. Okay. So the Sanskrit word for this, in Tibetan, we are not going, no one is allowed to translate in any other way other than Duje. Right? Okay. And the scholars are there, very refined scholars are there, very refined scholars are there. And the scholars who have a very sharp discrimination factors, these are being picked up by the king. And then they were given the authority to decide the word. Once the word is decided, then the king said, okay, nobody is supposed to translate this word, the Sanskrit word, to this and not to any other word. Whereas in English, we don't have any one uniting force. So therefore, I translate one way. There can be 100 translators, 100 words can come out. You're getting it? Nobody can use the authority to say that only this will be used. So standardization is not really possible. Not really possible unless until there is some kind of grand conference happening among all the Buddhist, say the Buddhist communities in the world, internationally coming together, then create the encyclopedia or dictionary, right? And then say that, okay, so whosoever takes part, is a member of this community, confederation, we will use this as standard. And they agree. And then everybody, because it's a big community, using very standard, then all the public will prefer to use that. And then those people who trust it differently, automatically they will be marginalized. This case is possible, but this is a very less chance that such things can happen. Okay, so we'll stop here with the quick dedication prayer. Page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful, generously, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samadhi too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow the perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praise as the best, but the victorious ones, thus go on of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not risen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase forevermore. Chanju Sanjo Boche Manya Bonam Ke Gyoroche Ke Banyamba Mebaya Kone Kondo Pe Maraisho
as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I truly remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into their enlightened state. I dedicate a merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the three times, and to the upholding Dharma of teaching and realization. May I know all life through the force of this merit, never separate from the four wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the two stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Today in the Buddha's presence, I journey the man of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem, I confess the negativities individually, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of union of emptiness into compassion is loosely explained by the protector Buddha Dharma and the beings of the snowland. With the lotus hold the tensing guts, we supplicate you fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations, the evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who are heard by many through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be truly vanquished through the path of the truth of the three jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, and enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations in the past, may could attain the state of Vajratara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by the Magistry and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of the dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Okay, so pertaining to the question, volitional, the aggregate of the volitional factor, composite factor, both translations are okay. Both are okay. It's a matter of translation. Okay, thank you. Good night.